The sewing machine was a Singer, pale gray, newer model, sitting exactly where my bed used to be. I stood in the doorway for a moment before saying anything. The window was the same. The light coming through it was the same particular afternoon light. I'd grown up with the kind that goes gold in October and makes everything look more significant than it is. But the bed was gone, and my desk was gone. And in their place were fabric bins and a dress form, and my sister Diane's creative life, neatly organized across the floor of a room that used to hold mine. My mother appeared at my shoulder. "Diane needed somewhere to work," she said. "You have your own place now." I said that was fine. It wasn't fine, but it also wasn't the hill I was going to die on, and I've gotten very good at knowing which hills those are. Dinner was the four of us. My mother, Diane, my Uncle Paul, who lives nearby and comes on the first Sunday of every month, and me. The table was the same table. The chairs were the same chairs. My mother talked about Diane for a while. This is not unusual. Diane is the daughter who calls on Wednesdays and visits on Sundays, and brings flowers when she comes. Yellow ones, usually, because she knows my mother prefers yellow. These are real things. I'm not diminishing them. Diane is genuinely present in the ways that register, the ways that can be seen and mentioned, and accumulated into a portrait of reliability. I listened and ate my food, and thought about what reliability looks like when nobody's watching. 3 years ago, the mortgage fell apart. My mother mentioned it the way she sometimes mentions crises after the acute phase, almost as a side note, as though the severity had already been processed and she was just providing an update. 2 missed payments, a third coming, a notice from the bank that used the word foreclosure in formal typeface. I didn't have the full amount. I want to be honest about that. I'm not someone with reserve sitting untouched in an account, available for emergencies. I had to construct it. I refinanced my car at a worse rate than I'd had. I took a personal loan through my credit union. I called in a small debt. A friend owed me and felt terrible about it. For months, it came to 6 payments, spread across 6 months, transferred to my mother's mortgage account. The bank stopped sending notices. The house stayed in the family. I didn't tell Diane. I didn't tell Paul. I told my mother the minimum necessary, that I was handling it, that she didn't need to worry about the bank. She said thank you once. Then the crisis became part of the past, and we all moved forward into the next thing, the way you do. What I didn't anticipate was that moving forward would eventually mean moving my bed out and putting a Singer where it used to be. Carol from next door came by after dinner, the way she sometimes does, for coffee, and the kind of conversation that has no particular agenda. She and my mother have been neighbors for 22 years. She sat at the table with us, and at some point my mother mentioned that it was good to have the mortgage cleared, that the last few years had been a wait. She was glad to be done with. Carol asked naturally how it had gotten sorted. My mother paused. It was a small pause, but I felt it. The moment of reaching for information that should be close at hand and finding the shape of it without the substance. She knew the bank had stopped calling.
She knew it had resolved. The mechanism of that resolution, it seemed, had not fully lodged in her memory, or had lodged in a way that had softened over time, until simply it worked out. She looked at me. I said quietly that I'd covered the payments. I said it the way you state a fact that doesn't require ceremony, just information. Filling the gap. Carol asked one question. How much? Over how long? I told her. She nodded slowly. The nod of a practical woman doing arithmetic. The room was quiet for a moment. Diane was in the kitchen. She had been in the kitchen for the last 10 minutes, making no sound that I could hear. When I looked up, she was standing in the doorway. She'd heard. I couldn't read her face completely. It was doing several things at once, the way faces do when a piece of information arrives that rearranges other pieces. She wasn't crying. She wasn't performing anything. She was just standing there, holding a dish towel, learning something about the house she'd grown up in. I didn't say anything to her. She didn't say anything to me. My mother didn't mention the room before I left. Maybe she'll call this week. Maybe the conversation will come. Maybe it won't. And we'll all continue in the new arrangement. Diane's fabric bins where my bed was. The mortgage cleared. The wheat distributed in ways. The family never formally acknowledged, and may never formally acknowledge. I drove home and sat in my apartment, which is mine, which has always been entirely mine, and looked at the walls. What I felt wasn't anger, wasn't vindication. It was something I don't have a clean name for. The particular disorientation of finally being seen doing something you'd already finished doing years ago, alone. The house is still standing. I'm still not sure what I'm supposed to do with that.